Toronto's real estate market roars back to life, ending short-lived buyer's market. That's just one of the headlines we saw earlier this week as news publications reacted to the market stats released by the Toronto Real Estate Board for the month of January 2024. Yes, we definitely saw an increase in activity, but is it as strong as what the headlines are suggesting? In this video, we'll take a look at a few key stats for the month of January, but then I want to show you what I saw in a few different pockets of the city, because the January market did not play out the same in every single neighborhood. My name is Jason Bondy-Sawyer from the Bondy-Sawyer real estate team here in the city of Toronto. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you find this particular video valuable, go ahead and hit that like button down below. If you're thinking of making a move in 2024 and you'd like to chat about what that might look like, you can book a call with me using that first link down in the description. So as we moved through the first month of 2024, we have seen buyers re-enter the residential real estate market. And this is due to a few things. Number one, lower borrowing costs associated with fixed mortgage rates. And number two, the fact that many of these buyers had been sitting on the sidelines, and they now finally feel comfortable enough to get off the sidelines and make a move. So as a result, we saw a 37% increase in sales in January 2024 compared to what we had seen in January 2023. Now that is a big jump in demand from where we were a year ago, but it's important to note that we did not see a similar jump in supply. Active listings were only up 8.5% compared to a year ago. So we ended up experiencing a tighter market in January. And this tightening is reflected in the months of inventory. Quick recap, months of inventory essentially tells us if we are in a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a balanced market. So a seller's market is 4 months or less of inventory. A balanced market is 4 to 6 months of inventory, and a buyer's market is 6 months or more of inventory. And in January 2024, we had 2.39 months of inventory. So that's technically a seller's market, and it's tighter than where we were a year ago in January 2023. Okay, so what about prices? Well, they were actually down 1% year over year. So despite the tighter market, we did not see the pressure on prices that you would expect. Okay, so exactly what part of the market came roaring back in January? Well, it certainly wasn't the prices, and it wasn't the inventory either. The biggest growth was the number of sales relative to the inventory. So I think the big takeaway from the month was that buyer confidence is returning. So now that we've looked at a few of the big picture numbers, I want to focus in on a few micro markets to help round things out. First, let's take a look at what happened in Roncesvalles. Now, if you're not familiar with this neighborhood, it's in the west end of the city and it sits just to the west of Parkdale and just to the east of High Park. This is an area of the city that saw a lot of activity in January. Now, it didn't see a lot of activity in sales because there was hardly any supply at all, but there was definitely a lot of activity on the demand side. And there were two houses in particular that received a ton of attention from buyers. So both of these were semi-detached houses, 2 stories, 3 bedrooms. Both of them had scheduled offer dates and both received a bunch of competing offers. The first one ended up getting 14 offers in total and sold for 125% of the list price. And the other one received 18 offers and ended up selling for a whopping 128% of the list price. Now, this is an area of the city that is almost always in high demand, so it's no surprise that the market there got off to a strong start in January. But the amount of offers that those properties received gives us a glimpse into how much pent-up demand there is. And it shows us that buyers are indeed ready to jump in and compete for the right house. So now I'd like to shift the focus over to downtown condos. And this is a very interesting market to watch because these are a lot of first-time buyers, and condos end up making up a significant portion of the sales each month in the city of Toronto. Now, the condo market in CO1 experienced a big shift in the second half of last year, particularly after September as inventory started to build and it became a buyer's market with 6 to 7 months of inventory. So what happened there in January 2024? Well, there were 804 active listings and there were 192 sales. So that's 4.19 months of inventory, which is a balanced market, which brings us back to where we were in the summer of 2023. The average sale price to list price ratio in January was 98%, and 15 of those 192 sales sold for 100% of the list price. 30 of those sales sold for more than the list price, with almost half of those selling for more than 10% of the list price. So, despite everything you've been reading about the downtown Toronto condo market being particularly sluggish, there are buyers out there right now. and that market does appear to be improving from the lows it started experiencing in September of last year. All right, so we are only 1 month into the year at this point. We need to keep our eyes on the market and watch what happens through the first quarter. And we'll see if that increase in activity we saw in January continues to build. And the crucial thing we're going to be looking for is whether or not the supply grows at the same rate that demand does. As always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Next to me here is another one that I think you might find interesting, so go ahead and give it a watch. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time.